brand, you believe in social good, but how do you connect with the values-based consumer? We're going to tell you.
Hey, welcome to the Influencer Marketing Show. I'm Joel.
I'm Brad.
What we are talking about today is values-based customers, companies pushing social good. What role do influencers play in that? Believe it or not, we think they play a role.
Shocking.
However, we're going to go through what we would suggest we're going to suggest some suggestions. We are going to postulate some postulations. And we think there's I'm not so sure I know what the right way to do it. I have very strong opinions about the wrong way to do it, and I will share that. So with that, what are your initial thoughts on this topic, Brett?
I think it's a fine line to walk, but there's a huge opportunity to knock it out of the park. Like, if you walk that fine line, there is a huge return for you. The press is going to love it. The creators' audience is going to love it. More creators might decide to get involved. Like, there's clearly a ton of opportunity in this when you really care about a particular arena of life in 2022, and it's clear to your customers, and you partner with the right influencers to really pour some gasoline on that fire. I think it's fantastic, and I'm a big fan of it. And it's a way to differentiate.
Have you seen any examples of someone who has done it well, either brand or creator, that actually it seems legit?
That's a great question. I think brands that do social good. The Tom's model is a classic, right? Buy one, give one, and other folks have moved to that model.
Yeah, Warby Parker does that as well.
Warby Parker does it, yeah. A company called Muskox, gives 10% for every $100.
I'll have to check them out.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool company.
Sounds interesting.
So I think like the social good piece is done pretty well consistently. And there's been some brands that have sort of jumped into some different, I would call them one-off activities, like the Team Trees piece. Like, great that the creators did that, and some brands kind of sort of got involved. Wix got involved, and I don't think there's any downside to it, but Wix isn't a company that is really known for being social good. It's not sort of part of who they are and what they do. If you go to their website in the homepage, you're not gonna see a social good or caring about trees as part of it. So it's not bad, but it's not that home run that I mentioned before. And so I guess just to kind of jump into one of the things that I think is where it's great is, like, in terms of how to do it. It's if it's already part of what your brand is already, and then you work with creators and let the creators come up with a unique idea of, like, hey, how can we again pour gasoline on the fire of this social good campaign, and let the creators lead it with their own ideas and creativity. And honestly, this is not meant to be self-serving, but this is where working with an agency can really help, because we're talking to so many creators so often that we have such a head start in terms of knowing what creators are working on, what big projects they have coming up. And so we're going to be able to dial it in where it's like, oh, this is actually a perfect fit for this creator who's been working on this for 4 months. You want to get involved in this social good campaign around clean air, or or planting trees, whatever it is, then this is a fantastic way to do that. So having creators lined up and let the creators have their own ideas for how to do something that you're already doing authentically is something that I'm just a huge fan of.
I think that's the key. Something that you are already doing authentically. All right. So, and this gets to my list of some of the don'ts. So one, don't be like, hey, we like that, we want to piggyback off that. It's going to be see-through. Don't do it. Two, and this is I would say something of like a actual moral purity test. But would your company do that thing, whatever it is, if there was no publicity about it? No PR releases, nothing. So, and there are a handful of companies that I think would actually do that. I have my issues with a whole bunch of things that Patagonia has done, but say what you will. They're pretty real and they're pretty authentic, and they've consistently, over a 40-year track record, put their money where their mouth is. And I would say, unless you have not actually made some kind of real social good part of your brand, then don't ask a creator to try and manufacture that for you,
Right.
it won't work. And look, to Wix's credit, they're like, yeah, this is a cool cause. They also didn't try and traffic on it, and they didn't try and necessarily make it part of their brand. Or I think they handled it really, really well when Wix came in and supported Team Trees. But I think it has to be authentic, and your brand should already have some track record. And so then you go find a creator that already is doing that, and there's a very, very obvious connection there, where you've both been traveling parallel paths.
Yeah.
Next, I mean, this is going to be the case with any kind, but you don't preen, you don't posture, you don't peacock. This is I think the audience is sophisticated enough, and certainly by God, the comments section is sophisticated enough that they will smell a company or a brand doing something merely for the recognition.
100%.
And if that and if you just get eviscerated in the comments, and obviously comments aren't anything, and obviously this represents a relatively small portion of the viewing audience, but it shapes opinion. This is why Twitter, that is the least used social media platform, probably matters the most for our culture, and for the societal implications of it. So, anyways, you don't want to get eviscerated in the comments. That you just don't. And what you really want is like, hey, kudos to these guys for doing this.
Yeah.
And so to try and thread that needle
Mm-hmm.
is really, really difficult. And honestly, like a brand needs to have they need to go through a process of real internal soul searching and answer, why are we doing this, and would we be willing to do this if no one else is going to write about it? And then it comes across in a way that, like, hey, we as a brand really care about this issue. It is totally authentic, but like you have to be absolutely vigilant and rigorous in that authenticity test, because the audience that's in the influencer space, that is on YouTube, that is on all the platforms that we work with, certainly Twitch and TikTok, they're gonna smell the BS, and save yourself, don't do it.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing is there's two options for brands if you want to get into value-based marketing with influencers. Number one is if a creator is doing some great cause that the creators have decided to do, like Mark Rober and Mr. Beast with Team Trees.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with supporting that and sponsoring it, but you want to be really clear, like, hey, like we're sponsoring and supporting this because we think it's great, not because we think it's core to our business. So
Right.
that's an option.
Right. And
That's
then
like,
and then they don't posture that it's like, well, we've always
it's
cared about this. It's like,
right.
really? Is there
No.
any evidence whatsoever?
Yeah, that's like the single or double approach, which I think is fantastic.
Yeah.
If you want to go for the home run, you're swinging for the fences here, but most importantly, make sure it's core to who you are as a brand, and you have a track record of it, and it's not superficial. Because if it's real, then partner with creators and ask them to poke at it, ask them to help make it bigger and better, and lean into creators for their strategic thinking and their creativity. And I think it's a home run for brands that are already social good companies to be able to partner with creators. But yeah, don't try to pony punches. This is not the chance. This is not the opportunity to do it. And you mentioned the comments, but also, I mean, the press is not shy about getting after brands.
Yeah,
when they're doing stuff.
Yeah, you don't want to see the word opportunistic next to your brand when it comes to sponsoring. So all that to say, look, if it's real, do it by all means. This is great, but just wade into this space very, very, very carefully, because the backlash can come swift, it can come hard, and it can make for some really uncomfortable meetings.
For sure.
Your next marketing review.
We don't want that.
Okay, that's it. Thanks for hanging out with us. Follow us on social. We'll talk soon.